Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Say hello to me. Let me know how you're doing. How are you today? How's the day been so far? Where are you tuning in from? I like to connect. Nice to know who's here. Hello, everybody. Lovely to see you all joining. I'm so excited to have this session. Vienna, Leeds, London, Liverpool. Oh, I love it. Hi, Amelia. Nice to see you here. Hi, Caro. Hi, Phoebe. Good to see you here from Glasgow, sunny Glasgow. London, Nashville, Brazil. Gosh, what an international community we are. Fantastic to be here with you all. Well, for those of you that are not in London, it is very cold here. Very, very chilly after a pretty mild winter, actually. So we're going to give everybody a minute or two just to come on over from lunch breaks and all of that good stuff if you're in the UK. So I always love to ask the question because I know that everybody's time here is unbelievably precious. It's probably our most valuable commodity. Minus 25 degrees in Toronto. Okay, Alona, I cannot possibly compare how cold it is in London to how cold it is in Toronto. That's mad. Wow. I can't even imagine how cold that is, if I'm really honest. That sounds very chilly indeed. Yeah, your time is your most precious commodity. I'm super aware of that, and I'm super aware of that with my own time. So pop into the chat box for me why you're here today. What has meant, well, what's been the draw for you today? So we are talking all things habit today, and I really hope that you're going to leave this session with that little shift needed to be able to get your habits onto your own side. Because believe it or not, it's tough to change our habits, but we can. And I studied habit change for nearly a year, I think it was, with Mandy Manners and Kate at the Coaching Academy. And it was fascinating. And I'm really excited to share with you some of my top tips. Breaking the cycle. Yes. Okay, James Clear, the original master of habit change. Self-development. Yes, yes, yes. Habits. You want to leave procrastination behind. Okay, okay. I get that. I get that. And for most of us, we really want to build a life based on habits and rituals that are on our own side, that are creating the future that we want to live in. And I'm really hopeful that today's session will be a little nudge in the right direction. 45 minutes, an hour maximum. Probably not going to be the silver bullet for everybody, but it will hopefully help change and create some shifts just in terms of that mindset piece. I promise you that you can change your habits and build in the habits that you most want if you are fully committed to doing so. And we have so many of you online today. So I know that this really matters. And it mattered to me too. And it still matters to me. And I think that my fascination with habits has come from being in recruitment and building my recruitment business and watching recruiters and my own self-sabotaging habits and that habitual behavior. I think because particularly in the 90s and the noughties, it was uber high pressure working in recruitment. It was going out in the evenings, it was working incredibly long hours during the day, and watching both my own and lots of other people's maladaptive behaviors and habits and rituals to cope with that, to cope as the sort of solution to stress and pressure was fascinating to me. And I think during my own growth and as I myself became much more conscious and self-aware and really wanting to build a super healthy environment for the team that work at CNC. And I just knew that getting a deeper understanding of why I behave the way I do and how to create the future I wanted to live in was really critical. And I have been able to change all sorts of habitual behavior through that deep understanding. And I'm going to bring some of that to you too. And so all I'm going to ask for today is an open mind. I'm going to ask you to all open your mind to the possibility of change and possibility of change in the direction that you most want. So what if everybody on this webinar today, whether you're watching this on the recording or you're part of the 200 people that are here live, was capable of change? Amazing, right? And I promise that you are. So I'm Lucy, I'm the founder of CNC Search, I'm the founder of CNC Academy, I'm a global speaker. I am the business that I've built has won 15 industry awards. I've won a few awards. I am a super passionate believer in instilling a belief in you that you are infinitely capable, that you have infinite potential, that you have infinite possibilities ahead of you. And that is probably been the big driver. And I've been through all sorts of challenges to get to where I am today. And no doubt I will work through plenty more. But during that period, and particularly over the last sort of 7 or 8 years, I've done a huge amount of work and personal development. And that's resulted in having 6 different coaching qualifications. And I love sharing what I know works. And so that's what we're going to touch on today. So here are a few of the clients that we work with. I'm really lucky to have this amazing gift, which is supporting people with their careers and supporting people with supporting companies, finding incredible talent. And I'm also capable of developing. I'm also incredibly lucky to go into business and help them develop their culture, develop retention levels. And I've trained in all sorts of incredible organizations. And our keynote at the moment, if you feel called to, we're booked up, I think, until end of March, but we are taking bookings for more training, development, talks and workshops after that. Okay, so I think my colleague Pippa is going to share some polls as we go through the session today. I don't know how to post them, so either Pippa will, or if not, I will learn how to do it for the next webinar. Technology is not my zone of genius. So we are recording today's session, so just be mindful of whatever you share. We are recording. Keep yourself safe if you need to go and take a step away from your screen, or you want to take a minute away, or something doesn't resonate with you. That's absolutely fine. I just ask that you stay respectful. And of course, I'm just sharing what's worked, what I know works for me and works for the team that I'm lucky enough to work alongside. It may not work for you, of course. So let's get into today's session. The first thing that we need to be super aware of is that we are what we repeatedly do. And habits are not good, they're not bad, they're just our rituals, they're our ways of reacting, they're our ways of surviving, they're our ways of coping, they're our solution, until often they become our problem too. But it might be worth you noting or knowing that 70% of what we do is done on autopilot. So 70% of everything we're doing is based on rituals and repeating and doing the same thing over and over in response to people, places, things, feelings, situations. And I would love for all of you to be able to get to a place where more of what you do is conscious and more of what you do is deliberate and intentional. Because in that piece where we can move from automatic to intentional is the ability to get on our own side. So how many of you recognize some of these rituals or routines or coping strategies that perhaps, not always, but perhaps don't necessarily get you on your own side, perhaps not necessarily building the life that you want to live in, the future that you want to create? Doom scrolling, shopping, too much Netflix, gossiping, shopping, eating, drinking. How many of us recognize not doing the things, saying yes all the time, doom scrolling? Yes, I know these things. There's this frightening statistic that apparently we are now check some form of something on our phone, whether it's an alert, a beep, an email, a message, an app, something on the app 2,600 times a day. I was listening to that on the Diary of a CEO podcast this week. 2,600 times a day. That is mad. That's mad. Yeah, so people are recognizing some of those things, and it isn't necessarily that they are bad or good. It's just simply that they don't always serve us. So I want us to really start thinking for you, where do you know that you're stepping away from being on your own side? Phone game obsession, right? That's not one of mine, but that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that one, but of course. So yeah, and Pippa's phone won't charge, so apparently she's now going to save a ton of time. What a statistic, I know. What a statistic. So we've got these three parts of a habit, okay? And what our brain loves is our brain absolutely loves to conserve energy, because our brain takes up about 25 to 30% of all our energy every day. It's why staying hydrated is so important. So our brain just loves to create habits because it means it doesn't have to expend energy on decisions. And so we have to be super mindful about how we are then building these habit loops. So essentially, the cue is the trigger that kicks off our habit. So let's have a think for you. When you think about those things that you've just shared, whether it's the doom scrolling, whether it's the drinking too much, whether it's the not doing the thing, whether it's playing the computer game over and over and over again, whatever it might be, what's the cue? So for me, my habit loops that I've had to work on so hard have definitely come from stress. Have absolutely come from work-related stress, or when I was a single parent, stress, when going through a divorce, stress, whatever it might have been. I developed habits that definitely weren't on my own side, that were my solution to handling that. It allowed the numbing, it allowed the switching off. It allowed me to change my emotional state, albeit briefly. But also boredom's another one. Doom scrolling due to boredom and stress is one. Anything that helps to dial down the feeling. So we get these cues. So it might be stress, it could be location, it might be a specific time of the day. I know that lots of people that will say to me, oh, 5 o'clock comes around or 6 o'clock comes around, and especially if it's the weekend, that's wine time. Or I know that somebody will just say, I just reach for the ice cream, the whole tub of ice cream, when it hits a certain point in the weekend, and I just need a moment away from my kids, and I'm sat in the bathroom, and that's just my own time. And a ton come from boredom. Paula, I feel you, I hear you. So the routine then is our solution. So the routine is the bit that we do as the solution to the cue or the prompt from the cue. So have you ever done that thing where you say to yourself in the morning, I am absolutely not going to go into the supermarket today and buy the thing that I always buy that makes me feel rubbish after I've eaten it. And then lo and behold, you go into the supermarket, let's say it's lunchtime, and you've bought the thing you said you weren't going to buy because you've had a bit of a crappy email, your boss hasn't been happy with some work you've delivered, you're feeling fed up, and you think, I just deserve that thing. Just today, I'll change it tomorrow. So just raise your hand if that's something you recognize. If that's something that you would say, yep, I can feel that. I know that. I start off my day thinking I'm going to do the thing, and then I'm not going to do the thing, and then it just doesn't happen. So we have these cues, then we do the thing. So, I'm stressed, then I'm doing the thing I said I wasn't going to do again. But when I'm doing the thing I said I wasn't going to do again, my reward is I just feel that little bit less stressed for a bit, that little bit less stressed. I mean, for me, the big one has been wine, a long day, stuff going on with my, with being a parent, all the things. And then the routine was grab a glass of wine. Oh, the reward was that moment's relief. I just feel that bit more relaxed. I can just dial down the really active brain for a minute. And then what happens? So, of course, then what happens is the punishing cycle comes in, because my guess is that most of you are here today, not because you have pretty much life sorted and a ton of amazing rituals and habits, all of which that are getting you on your own side, really aligned, really kind to yourself. My guess is that you're here because some of your rituals and habits are feeling punishing and of holding you back from your fullest potential, from experiencing the best possible life that you can experience. Because we get into the shame cycle, don't we? So the wine bit that I'm talking about, that's definitely been for me one of my solutions that then became a problem, was because after I'd had a couple of glasses of wine and I dialed down that thought process, what then happened was the anxiety. And for me, that was absolutely a result of wine, is that I would then feel anxious. And then my anxiety would then make me feel bad, as in I'd feel anxious and then I'd feel bad about myself. Why have you done that again? You know this makes you feel anxious. You're so stupid, Lucy. Why on earth would you think about doing this again? You promised yourself you weren't going to do that. And then, because I felt badly, my result of my stress response was then to start thinking about the wine again. Does anyone else get this? Does anyone else get this punishing shame loop that we get stuck in? And we just slowly chip away, don't we, at our self-esteem. And as we slowly chip away at our self-esteem, we reinforce the habit loop even more, because we start to tell ourselves, I can't change. It's always going to be like this. It's never going to be any different. This is just the thing I do. This is just what I do. It's just who I am. And so we hit the F it button or the sod it button, and so the loop starts again until we get ultimately sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then how do we create the shifts we want to create? Well, I'm going to tell you something. The one way you're not going to create any shifts is punishing yourself. You are not going to create the shifts by making yourself feel bad. You're not going to create the shifts by telling yourself you're a loser or you're stupid or you're not good enough, or that you're an idiot. You're not going to create the shifts by punishing yourself, by beating yourself up, by buying into those intrusive thoughts. You will only create good shifts if you start to get on your own side. And maybe recognizing that whatever solutions you have created habit loops with have been solutions to problems. But now you know that the solution has become a problem itself, you can do something about it. So I want everybody that's here today, and by the way, Louise Hay, what an amazing woman. If you can get your hands on any of her books, you will not regret it. She's not with us any longer, but she is incredibly wise. So I highly recommend looking her up if you don't yet know her work. So I want to work today. We've got about another half an hour together. I really want you to work with something that is challenging you right now, so you get the most out of today's session. So what is it about what's going on in your life right now that's bothering you, where you feel stuck, where you're doing the same thing over and over, even though it doesn't work for you? You say to yourself, you're going to get the most difficult part of your day out of the way first thing. You leave it till the last thing. You're procrastinating, then it all builds up, and then you've got all these really stressful deadlines. Whatever it might be, what is it for you? And what habits are contributing to that feeling of being stuck? So what is it you're doing regularly that you just know isn't what you want in your life anymore? You're ready to let it go. You're ready to bring something else in. And we'll share this recording with you so you can go back over and do the work. So I want you to have small habits that get you on your own side, that are taking you to where you want to be, that are making the difference for you to be able to live a life that's happy, fulfilled, where you can be able to cope with the curveballs. Because the one thing we all know for sure is that curveballs are going to come. Nothing in life is linear. So we've got to understand the cues. We've got to understand, and we've got to just unpick a little bit this thing that we're doing that's taking us away from what we want most. What's the cue and what's the reward? So let's go back to my wine analogy. So my cue was stress. My cue was restaurants. My cue was going into a bar. My cue mainly, though, was stress. And the reward was stress release. But the price I was paying for that wasn't worth the habit loop that I was in. So we need to understand what's your cue and what's your reward. What are you getting out of the habit? Even though you know it's not the solution it once was. What are you getting out of it? What does it mean to you? And what's the prompt, that auto prompt? And if you think up to 70% of everything that we do every single day is automated, there are many, many prompts, many cues, and many rewards throughout the day. I think one of the biggest ones is our phones, right? Going onto our phones, checking out whether it's Instagram, TikTok, whether it's our emails, whatever it might be. And what do they say? That when, the neurons that fire together wire together. But we can unpick them. One of the biggest inhibitors of creating new neural pathways, new habits, is we get tired. So if you think about if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, I'll add in stressed to that. So often we reach for the thing, or we do the thing that we said we weren't going to do. And a lot of that is down to decision fatigue. So Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, what do they all have in common? Well, they all dress the same every single day. They all dress the same every single day because it removed a decision. So if you can start to think in your life, how can you help yourself remove some of the decisions that you're making every day to reduce and dial down that decision fatigue? It will help you so much more build in the new habit loops that you want. Some of the ways for me is planning, making sure my diary's all planned out. I get my clothes out the night before. I have the book I want to read right by my bedside at night so that I'm not reaching for my phone. I have a glass of water next to my bed so I can grab that first thing in the morning, which helps me not go on my phone. I've even got my, my exercise and things built into my diary. It doesn't always happen, but when it can, great. So I wonder for you, what decisions could you help reduce in order that you have the energy to focus on the decisions you want to make, the more important decisions? Is it preparation? Is it planning? What is it for you that you know would make the difference and bring back some of that energy to really focus on what matters to you most? Because we get the fuel back then. We get this brilliant fuel that we can then use to make great decisions and to get on our own side and to have these habits that are super aligned. So how do we get there? What are we going to do? Well, first of all, it's about intention and real commitment. It's about knowing and recognizing I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of this thing, but I have the capability to change. Remember, our brains cannot distinguish between thought and fact. And a belief is just a thought we think over and over again. And one of the most incredible things about being a human being is we get to choose our thoughts, or we certainly get to pick one thought over another if we get curious about our thoughts and not self-punishing. So it's amazing. We can change physiologically through intentional thought. So my big thing for you, all of you, is to, instead of thinking about what you don't want to do, think about what it is you do want to do, what habits you do want to bring into your life, and how you can make those easy. What is it you can do to make them easy? And when we get curious about our thoughts, we lower our stress levels, we lower our cortisol, we increase our resilience, we increase our wellness. It has the most amazing impact because we have all of these aspects of modern day life that are constantly chipping away at decision fatigue, and it's also constantly chipping away at the joy that we have that we should be experiencing, our presence. And Emma's just saying, having kids, working, it's huge. It's a huge amount of stress, and just trying to find out how we just finding a way to find our own joy, our own presence. Really, really tough, really tough. So being aware, being conscious of our behavior, observing our behavior, just with curiosity, observing our thoughts, again, just with curiosity, allows us to make different choices, to get curious about why we're behaving the way we are, thinking the way we are. And all of that helps to bring in new habits, new pathways, new solutions. Because imagine a world that you live in where your habits, where your rituals, your routines, and your responses are on your own side. Just pop a word in to the chat box, mainly because it's really nice for me to hear from you and to feel connected, but pop a word into the chat box. How would life feel if your habits were on your own side? If your rituals and routines and responses, how would it feel? Balanced, energized, lighter, manageable, liberating, empowered. Oh, what fantastic words. Productive, calm. Yeah, amazing. Imagine how rich life would feel. And it doesn't cost a thing. Accomplished. Yeah, satisfied. Fantastic, fantastic words. And it can be that way. I promise you, it can be that way. Micro choices are your superpower. We set ourselves up to fail, especially in January, where everyone suddenly decides they are going to go to the gym every day. They're going to lose 10 stone. They are going to be the most possibly productive version of themselves they've ever been. But actually, where the power is in the small choices. It's micro choices. And as we make small micro changes, what happens is we start to believe in the capability of change, in our power of choice. And it starts to build our self-esteem. And as a result of that, we start to be able to change more things. Small changes, small choices lead to great changes. And it absolutely needs to be one small change at a time. So pick the one thing. Don't pick all the things. Pick the one thing that's going to have the ripple effect. What is that one thing? For me, the one thing was having a glass of water in the morning. And I know that sounds mad, but that glass of water in the morning means that I pause. That pause means that I can start my day intentionally. It means I think. Without that glass of water, what happens is I don't sit and think, how do I want this day to be? How do I need to show up in order that the day goes that way? What do I need to do to get on my own side today? And then if I can, to meditate just for a few minutes. The difference when I don't have the glass of water is I reach for my phone, I get on my emails, my cortisol shoots up, I start replying to WhatsApps, might be somebody from the team that's got a problem or something's happened, and what happens then is I go straight into the day, and because I am hardwired still to overwork and to be real work obsessive, what happens then is I'm in the day and I can't make the change that I want to make. And as a result of that, my whole day, and I don't know if you can hear my phone going, let's see if we can get rid of that. What happens then is my whole day runs me and I don't run my day. And that's when all of my solutions, all of my old solutions start to rear their head again. When we keep playing the movie forwards with the choices that we are making, our behaviors will start to match our intention. So if I think about, okay, so I'm going to reach for the bottle of wine tonight. I've had a really long day. I've got loads going on. Day's been really busy. And then I get a couple of stressful emails. I just think, sod it, I deserve the wine. But if I play that movie forwards and I think, yeah, but if I have the wine, then I'm going to be tired tomorrow. If I'm tired tomorrow, I'm going to be less likely to go and do the yoga in the evening. I'm going to be more grumpy. I'm not going to be as present as I need to be with the team. I'm not going to show up in that meeting the way I really want to. Is it worth it? No. What can I do instead? I'm going to go and make myself a fantastic hot chocolate. So I'm going to keep my ritual, but I'm going to switch up the substance. And what happens then if we keep playing the movie forwards, our behaviors start to match the intentions that we have. Because we can only make change through action. You can think it all you like. You can read all the self-help books in the world. You can listen to all of the podcasts. But listening to a podcast and listening to and reading a book on neuroscience doesn't make you a neuroscientist. We have to micro-act the way that we want to think and feel. The way that we want to think and feel. And Joe is absolutely right. This is not easy. If it was easy, we would all be doing the things that lead us to the most fulfilled and happy and successful, whatever that means for you, version of yourself. We'd all be doing it. But it's the conscious bit that makes it work. And I want that for you. I want you to feel that you are on your own side, because from that place, everything else is possible. From a place of integrity and feeling in your integrity, no one else can shake that. It's unshakable. So no matter how someone else feels about you, that's their business. It's not your business. And it means that you have this, start to have this unshakable self-belief. And that unshakable self-belief means that we can make great choices because we know we're worth it. We know that we are more than worth it. So we'll share with you a habit audit after this, some questions that you can mull over that will really help you. So if we're tired, if we haven't had enough, if we're not hydrated, if we're exhausted, if we haven't stepped away from our desk, our brain checks out. Our brain checks out. So we've got to build in the little rituals and routine in the day to keep us present, to keep us energized, to keep us able to be curious about the actions that we're taking. So one of the brilliant ways to do that is to look at the beginning of the week or on Friday. For me, my preference is to plan the next week on a Friday. That way I can go into the weekend with much more presence and lower stress levels. Is what are my non-negotiables? For next week, what are my non-negotiables? What are the 3 things that I will not negotiate on? So for me, one of my non-negotiables has been I've just started actually, so it's only been for the last 3 weeks, but for the last 3 weeks, and I've booked it again this Saturday, is hot yoga, 8:30 in the morning, 8:15 in the morning on a Saturday and Sunday. Because I spend most of my weekend driving up and down the motorway, going to netball matches and all sorts of other things. And what I found was, and then I work or get myself set up for the week, was that I had 0 time in the week and no time at the weekend either. And that was making me feel resentful and frustrated and like I didn't matter. But booking that in, having it in the diary as a non-negotiable is transformative. And then I ask myself, what's my intention for next week or for this week or for the day I'm in? What is my intention? My intention is to be calm. Well, how can I help that be the case? How can I help get on my own side? Because where our intention goes, our energy flows. And I don't think it's about the Tigger. I think it's about the trigger. So I think it's about the trigger, not the Tigger. And that's what I want for everybody here. Because willpower doesn't work. Planning, intentionality, creating the right environment for ourselves, they work. But willpower doesn't, because willpower is a finite resource and our willpower batteries shrink. It's why we so often do the thing at the end of the day that we didn't say we were going to do, or we don't then go and do the thing we said we were going to do. So asking ourselves before we do the thing, playing the movie forward and asking ourselves, does this support the life I'm trying to create? Does this support the life I'm trying to create? And I'm really sorry if you can hear the phone going off. And I've got a horrible thing, that's my cat coming upstairs. So I'm just going to shut the door. Give me 2 seconds. My daughter's at home today, so she's obviously let her in, and my cat is very, very noisy, and no one needs to listen to that for the rest of the session. So does this support the life I'm trying to create? So making it easy and making it obvious. So like I have the glass of water by my bed, like I have the book by my head, like I have my gym kit ready in a bag by the door for the weekend. Make it easy, make it obvious. And by the way, I'm very much a work in progress. I still have so much work to do on this area. So it's not like I'm sailing through life with 100% of my habits all on my own side, but I have made huge strides in getting on my own side, that is for sure. So if you have a habit that you are thinking about that you feel you should do, let it go. Shoulding on ourselves is one of the most disempowering habits that a lot of us have. I should be here in my life. I should be doing that. I should have what they have. I should be recognized more. I should. Set goals and those micro shifts and changes based on what matters to you. What matters to you most, what's going to lead you to your version of success. And remember, you are not going to get it right all the time. None of us are a perfect student, and perfectionism only takes us away from joy anyway. So none of us are a perfect student. None of us are going to get it right all the time. We just need to get back to intentionality when we notice we've slipped off track. Not with any harsh words, not with any criticism. And because from this, our chance of sustaining change is much greater, knowing that we're likely to come offline at some points. There's a couple of other things apart from playing it forward, that movie forward, and setting intentions and non-negotiables that work for me really well. One is breathing. I find tapping really useful. So tapping on meridian points really useful. It's basically the power of the pause. Meditation, we know that probably health-wise, it has the best possible range of health benefits, physically and mentally, of anything else. But for some people, sitting down is 5 minutes of meditating is their worst nightmare. So it might be just going for a walk without your phone or something like this. So for me, breathing, the power of the pause, finding a way to respond over reaction really helps support lasting habit change. And we've got to ask ourselves, am I interested in bringing this habit in or making this change, or am I committed? Am I interested or am I committed? We need to be fully committed. Doesn't mean we're going to be perfect students, but we do need that. I am all in with this micro change. I'm all in. And then we need to watch our language. So one of the things for me during this month where I'm not drinking at all is to say, I love not drinking. I love the energy it's giving me. I love the focus it's giving me. I love the presence it's giving me. I love the fact my anxiety is lower because our brains are listening. We are hearing our words. So instead of me saying, oh, it's so difficult, or, oh gosh, I'd love a glass of wine on a Friday night, I am reinforcing the habit that I want to become routine. Little rewards make a huge difference. So making sure that you reward yourself in one way or another for staying on your own side regularly is a really impactful part of long-term habit change. It doesn't necessarily mean buying yourself something, and it can do, but it might just be, I'm going to reward myself with, I don't know, reading my book for half an hour, having a bath, or booking a massage, or going to a class. But actually, rewards are key, even if it's really small, because we notice then our progress. Even if our progress isn't linear, all progress is progress. So finding, and these are brilliant comments, by the way, and I know they're going to be helping everybody else that's here today and watching it on record too. And I'm not sure if buying ourselves something every time we leave the house is going to be helpful. It's very difficult in London not to do that, but yes, those little rewards are key. Sleep, critical, and for the person that mentioned menopause earlier, I hear you. It's been something I've struggled with too. Planning makes all the difference. Planning, movement, rituals, making it easy. And gratitude, really knowing. And knowing that we're going to go through lots of different phases when we bring in new habits, when we bring in new rituals. Sometimes it's going to feel like, why am I bothering? Sometimes it's going to feel like, to hell with this thing. I'm feeling rubbish, sod it, I'm going to go back to what I know. And our brain loves that because it's like, oh, great, I don't have to think about anything. I'm just going to suggest to you that you just do go and do the thing you've said you're not going to do, because that's what we normally do when things are difficult. So know that you're going to have lots of different stages. And again, they're not going to be linear. So recognizing that. And a fantastic coach who's actually doing a webinar for us on Friday, if you've not signed up, of mine, talked about a whoop. You know, if you're really struggling, if you're in that ride, it's surfing the wave of a craving, and you do have to just surf it. I actually imagine if I'm craving something that I know is not on my own side, is I imagine surfing the wave. And we know that a craving actually only lasts between about 30 seconds and about 2 minutes maximum. It's the thoughts that we buy into that's the tough thing. So what's my wish? What do I wish for? What's the outcome if that wish comes true? What's getting in my way right now? Okay, so let's say I'm wishing for a more stress-free life. Well, the outcome of that is more presence, better health, more time, da 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 da. What's the obstacle that's getting in my way? Well, I'm stressed at the moment because this thing I should be doing at work isn't happening. So what's my plan? Well, I'm going to build in my non-negotiables this week. I'm going to build them in, and no matter what, I'm sticking with my non-negotiables. Because we do set ourselves up to fail, don't we? Our expectations of ourselves are crazy. We commit to these huge things. We try too many different things at once because somehow, unless we don't do all the things perfectly, then we may as well drop all the things completely. So we set ourselves up to fail all the time. So micro changes, remember, are key. And make it fun. Make it fun. Don't make it miserable, because then you're not going to want to do the thing. And the brain certainly isn't going to buy into this becoming a new, rewarding ritual. And make it fun, make it satisfying, make it positive, make it attractive. Think about how you can deal with all of those things, how you can put all of those things into place. So, I mean, we know that our habits basically are ingrained in our basal ganglia, which is and they survive even after. Somebody mentioned having somebody they've been looking after with Alzheimer's. Habits can even survive Alzheimer's. They're so deep rooted in our basal ganglia, part of our brain, that even after 10 years of not smoking or 15 years of not smoking, suddenly if something really big happens in their life, can crave a cigarette, because the brain goes back to that solution that it found and did on repeat a while ago. But if you haven't got a packet of cigarettes and you can get conscious, you're unlikely to actually have the cigarette. It's just a thought, and thoughts aren't facts. So making it unattractive, getting rid of the stuff that prompts you or cues you to make that solution, is key. Asking yourself the what if question opens up the prefrontal cortex. What if I can live a life on my own side? What if I am capable of change? What if I can bring this new habit into my life so it just becomes my new normal? What if it's possible for me? And reminding yourself all the time that you are not going to be a perfect student. You are not going to do the thing necessarily every single day. Some days might be days where you just dropped the ball. That's called being human. That's okay. All progress is progress. So move towards the feeling that you want. Don't just think about the thing you want. Think about how it's going to make you feel. When you're thinking about that, playing it forward that I've just mentioned, think about how that's going to make you feel if you make that happen. So think about how you're going to feel and take the choices that are going to take you towards the feeling. I mean, the squiggly success path, I mean, my goodness me, I know it well myself. So I'm going to ask you, how are you going to reward yourself for doing the thing? What would be little rewards? How could you track your progress? You know, do you need post-it notes up? Do you need an app that's going to help? What about an accountability group, or just a mate or a little group that you set up on WhatsApp? Because we also know that it's in the journey, by the way, to making change, that is the part where there is most joy. We know that scientifically, but only if we tune into all the little pegs of progress and making sure that we note that down and that we recognize it. You are capable of change. You are capable of having habits that are on your own side if you get intentional and conscious. So I wanted just to say thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for spending your lunch break with me. Of course, we are a small business, so I need to invite you to work with us if you're hiring, invite you to work with us if you're looking for a new role, invite you to explore how we might be able to deliver training and development for you. We have a great community called the Development Academy, where we come together. And of course, we'll send you the recording. And thank you for being a part of today and contributing. And I hope that it's been useful. I hope that it's been useful for all of you that invested your time today. Thank you very much indeed. Really nice to be with you all. And yeah, hope it's helpful. Have an awesome rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you at one of our events very soon indeed. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Have an awesome rest of your day. Thank you too. Thanks, Hannah. Thanks, Maria. Thanks, everybody.